Hi, Larry. Well, there's one thing left for us Republicans to do, and that is to get together and force our remaining leaders in Congress to remove Mitch McConnell from any type of power or source. He should not be allowed to have any power whatsoever. Let him spend his remaining days wandering to the Senate lunchroom and eating their bean soup. And that's the most important thing he'll do all day.
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. I am Larry Elder. You are ReliefFactor.com studio. We are ReliefFactor.com studio. I feel exactly the same way this caller does, and I know that Lindsey Graham does too.
Yeah, I don't agree with him. And if you think that would be a crime to provoke somebody to incite them to violence. Show me the clip where he did that. What I would say about Senator McConnell, that I think he has been a good leader. He's a great street fighter. I think he'll be a challenge for Schumer. But he is, in my view, giving some legitimacy to this impeachment process that I think is wrong. They impeached the president in the House in 24 hours without a lawyer and without one witness. Now, is that what we're going to become as a country? I hope not.
It's sick. And his wife, who was the Secretary of Labor, she resigned because of what happened at Capitol and just, Trump's connection to it. All this is doing is giving fire to these guys. I just told you how they play. Word on the street is he hasn't paid taxes in 10 years. Let him show it, because he hasn't. Bush lied, people died. Never mind the Rob Silverman Commission that says nobody lied. They still say it. When Barry Goldwater accepted the Republican nomination in 1964, you know what the California Democratic governor said? Pat Brown, the father of the man who later on became a two-term governor, Jerry Brown. Pat Brown said, and I'm quoting, "The stench of fascism is in the air." End of quote. That's 1964. Reagan. There's a book called The Age of Reagan, written by a guy named Stephen Hayward. And he quotes Democrat Representative William Clay of Missouri, whose son, by the way, is still in the House. Same seat. He said that Reagan was, and I'm quoting him, trying to replace the Bill of Rights with fascist precepts lifted verbatim from Mein Kampf. End of quote. When the Republicans controlled the House in the 1990s, John Dingell, a Democrat whose, is it wife? She still has his seat? Debbie Dingell, that his wife? I think his former wife. Widower. John Dingell compared the Republican House to the Duma and the Reichstag, referring to the legislature of the Tsar of Russia and the parliament of the German Weimar Republic that brought Hitler to power. About George W., George Soros said, and I'm quoting, "He displays the supremacist ideology of Nazi Germany. When I hear Bush say you're either with us or against us, it reminds me of Germans. The Bush administration and the Nazi and communist regimes all engaged in politics of fear. Indeed, the Bush administration has been able to improve on the techniques used by the Nazi and communist propaganda machines." End of quote. Now, how bad was George W. Bush? He's so bad he didn't go to Donald Trump's inaugural, but he went to Biden's. But he's written off as a Nazi by George Soros. These guys don't care. Nancy Pelosi, after George W. Bush left office, after calling him an oil man who didn't give a damn about people, said he was a really lovely man. I'm quoting her. He was a really lovely man. Call him a fascist when he was in office. They don't care. So yeah, Donald Trump's personality made him an easy guy to dislike, but they've always used this rhetoric. I'm not done. Al Gore, about George W. Bush. Quote, "His executive branch has made it a practice to control and intimidate news organizations, from PBS to CBS to Newsweek. And every day," Al Gore said about George W. Bush, "and every day they unleash squadrons of digital brown shirts." Look up brown shirts, young people. digital brown shirts to harass and hector any journalist who's critical of the president, end of quote. Brown shirts were the thugs that Adolf Hitler used to gain and maintain power. Look it up. Al Gore just compared George W. Bush to brown shirts. Anybody have a problem with that? When is the healing going to start? I'm just asking. Harry Belafonte, the entertainer, activist, marched with MLK. He was criticizing George W. Bush, calling him a racist. And someone said, well, wait, what about Condi Rice and Colin Powell? Surely they wouldn't work for a racist? And he said, and I'm responding, Hitler had a lot of Jews high up in the hierarchy of the Third Reich, end of quote. Anybody on the left say, yo, Harry, anybody? Julian Bond, then the chairman of the NAACP. He played the Nazi card a bunch of times. 2006, speaking at a historically black college, Bond said, and I'm quoting, the Republican Party would have the American flag and the swastika flying side by side, end of quote. It's 10 years before Trump. Governor of Wisconsin at the time, Scott Walker, Republican. He dared to rein in some of the excessive public employee compensation packages. A prominent hard left blog called livecalm.org posted in 2011, and I'm quoting, Scott Walker is a fascist. Perhaps not in the classical sense, since he doesn't operate in the streets, but a fascist nonetheless. He is a fascist, for his program takes immediate and direct aim at a sector of the working class, end of quote. So if you do something that someone deems to hurt the working class, you are, by definition, says this hard left post, a fascist. I've got more. But they want to heal. Because after all, we've gone through a difficult time. Never in the past has anybody had such venom. Except they do this all the time. Except their venom is different from our venom. I'm Larry Elder.